So this is the entrance to our shared 7th and ELA classroom. So here is my area, this little desk, and my desk in there. Here are drop-off bins when the students are exiting the classroom. They just drop off their things in their period. This is our literacy specialist's desk, which I use sometimes while she's not here, and this is my mentor teacher's desk. These are the pods I spoke about in one of our posts that I don't really like, but seem to work well for this class in some ways. I don't like them because they feel elementary to me, and I feel it kind of restricts the students a lot. But according to my teacher mentor, he feels this gives them freedom because it kind of allows them to work in groups and talk to each other and not have to be held accountable for tracking each other. So here is where most of the focus goes in front of the classroom while the teacher's walking around. Again, they're not, and they don't have to track us or each other as they speak, but most of their attention is up front. This is our library, which I am very proud of because it was my first assignment during the summer when I was working here. So here we have book reviews from our students that they did during the summer or from last year's 8th grade class. Here are some quotes that kind of allow students to be inspired to read. I chose 2 quotes from 2 of my favorite hip hop artists, Nas, "If you never take the chances, you'll never have the answers," and J. Cole, which is "Don't be sleeping on your level because there's beauty in the struggle," which I have found students here reading. I also took in Toni Morrison, "If there's a book you want to read but it hasn't been written yet, you must be the one to write it." That is a quote I have always gone back to. And Junot Diaz, "The library is a place of practice, a tradition which encourages people to become more connected to themselves and to the larger world." And I kind of rearranged the library a little bit. So here we have general fiction all the way down. Then our students can return our books here. Here we have teacher favorites. So each teacher in the classroom kind of wrote a little review, and this is something I want to keep doing for the rest of the year for books that they want to read, books that they encourage students to read. So our literacy specialist put this for our low kids holes. Little Woman, which no one really wants to read because it's kind of intimidating. I chose The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Junot Diaz because it's my favorite book. Some of my students have promised to read it, and Mr. Baird, my teacher mentor, chose This Boy's Life, a memoir, and he was about to choose this, but I chose it first. And here are literary magazines that have that are run by my teacher mentor as well. Here we also have authors of color, which is my favorite. Every time I find a book in the general library, I try to bring it in. Classics, of course, poetry and play, sports, reference books, fantasy, science fiction, historical fiction, and true stories, real people, which are basically biographies, just a better way to say it. I really feel like this is the one section in our classroom that really encourages a reading and literacy environment, because, I mean, there are also like vocab words, but these are vocab words that students are basically required to know by the end of the year. So things like diminish, analogy, requisite, fundamental, orient, facilitate, things like that. I don't know how engaging that is for our students though. Then these all belong to our 7th grade class, so I won't go into it, but I feel like this is kind of distracting just because this is what our students did last year, and just like having it up, I'm not sure that's the best idea, but it seems that that's something we must do in this class because of space issue. At, During the first days, we worked on having each class come up with their own rules. Mr. Baird chose to put them down here, and he really didn't go over them. So when he actually chose them from what all the students wrote, so I don't know how helpful that is for them, but I won't criticize that too much. This is 8th grade feeding back codes, which I think this is really helpful to have just because I'm doing a lot of the grading and I don't like, you know, writing full sentences sometimes. So if I put something like AWK, they can just look up here and know it's awkward phrasing. Reading hall expectations, the school's moving towards like, well, we have a period at the end of each other day where students just read anything they want for 45 minutes. So that's really helpful. And these are some rules Mr. Baird has set up for his reading hall. I'm not really here. I'm in another room. These are projects, social justice projects that Mr. Baird did with his class last year, and he was really adamant about wanting to put them up, which I think it's good because it adds a tone to the class where social justice is important, and I feel we're reading texts that slowly are getting into these types of issues, and just having our students understand that this is the ultimate goal to produce these types of projects and ideas really helps them be respectful of what we're reading and of each other, of course. So for one of our lessons, we read Robert Frost's Nothing Gold Can Stay and compared it to The Outsiders, and Mr. Baird made these kind of just having the students come up with their own ideas of what the theme is of the poem. Here is basically where the students come in, grab their journal, go to the chair. If they need any supplies, they're here. These are award-winning student writing. These are from the past. So, and also some of our 8th graders who won awards last year for some creative writing pieces. So yeah, overall, I think this is working out fine considering the space issue. However, I have been thinking that it's kind of bland in a way, and I really want to add posters or like more things that will make this a better literacy environment. Again, going back to the pods, I really don't like them. I don't think it sets a good tone, and it's something I'm definitely going to go into my next class thinking about when I do have my own classroom. Definitely setting it up in a way where this more open discussion can happen. I think that's the problem I'm realizing right now, where students aren't really able to discuss in a way that really engages them, because it's just like, oh, you here on this side of the room, okay, and then you over there on that side of the room, what are your ideas? And yeah, they have to follow each other's train of thoughts, but I feel like if we were in a circle and more of a U shape or an oval shape, that conversations and discussion will be much easier and much more natural in general. So hopefully by the time I take over, which seems to be in February or so, I'm actually taking over the civil rights unit. Hopefully by that time, I can kind of convince the teachers in this room to let me change around the setup a little bit, because I don't think this will work for that. But overall, we're working with what we got. So it's working out great. Bye.